Next tool on the list is going to be these mini little tight reach clamps. So you have like this mini little jaw right here, and then you just adjust it with this thumb wheel on the bottom. And I have used them. I've had instances where I'm trying to like hold a nut in the inside of a door panel, and they've been a lifesaver, so I'll keep them around. This one isn't really like the other tools where it's like, I don't even like having this in my box anymore. It's just, you know, when you need it, and when you don't, 90% of the time, it sits in the drawer and collects dust. Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video. I apologize, it's been a little longer than normal since we uploaded a video. I went on vacation. I went on a fishing trip that I go on every single year. It was great, man. Nice to unplug, good to get away for a little bit. So, you know, you gotta do that once in a while. And ironically, work followed us to our fishing trip. My old man's boat ended up having some trouble, so we actually had to do a 2-hour round trip drive up to the parts store to get a coil pack for it. Luckily, happened on the first day of the trip, so we were able to get out on the water, catch some fish, and enjoy ourselves. So getting back into it, last time we talked about tools on the channel, we talked about things that more recently, you know, had made its way into the toolbox that were a little bit unique that we love having around. So I thought we'd flip that script today and talk about tools that we absolutely almost never use in the shop, take up space in the toolbox, and maybe were a waste of money. Other updates on the channel: Mazda progress, while going rather slowly, is getting somewhere. You can see right here we have the makings of our Mazda to Toyota bumper brackets. I still have one more tab I need to weld on there. I'll put a picture on the screen here of how that Toyota bumper looks. Then once we're done test fitting, making sure the brackets work all right, we'll attack the bumper, actually show you what we're going to do to restore that thing before we get it on the truck for our facelift with the redone grill. It's going to look like $1,000,000, you guys. I'm excited, but making these brackets has been a little bit slow going. So let's get you set up. Let's talk about some tools. Alright, so tools today that we really don't use around the shop. And a little preface for this is some of these are just tools that now, you know, over the years, better versions have come out. And that's exactly what happened with this first tool here. So this mess of cord and light, this is a light that runs off your battery. It's got 2 leads on this end, so you hook this up to your car battery and you have a light. Not only is this not a very good light, you know, it's antiquated, but now you have this mess of cord running everywhere. And everyone's seen one of these. Maybe their dad or grandpa had one of these in the shop, particularly wall plug-in style with that cage around it. You know what I'm talking about. You rolled under the car, it was laying there, you burnt your neck, now you have the cage imprinted. They're antiquated. Everyone either has a cordless battery powered light or a lot of the USB-C chargeable lights. I'm kind of a light junkie, so that, you know, is going to be the first thing on my list. It's these antiquated old lights. Not much to say about them, but this is just a mess, and I'm so glad that we don't have to use these anymore. Second tool on my list is also a corded item, and this is just an El Cheapo soldering iron. Again, this has kind of just been phased out of the shop for me. I keep it around as a backup, but I have one of the Milwaukee cordless soldering irons, and my only gripe with it really, one, it's a little bit bulkier than this. You know, sometimes you're soldering in a door jamb, anything like that, this might be a little easier to handle. But again, you have to have a cord plugged into it. You have to have an extension cord. You know, there's no good way to set this thing down really, whereas the Milwaukee will stand on the battery base. Only gripe with the Milwaukee, other than the size, is they do eat through the batteries really fast. I have friends that are strictly more aftermarket technicians, you know, your interiors, heated seats, Astro starts. They use them all the time. Apparently they kind of burn up and get used up relatively quickly, so a lot of them ironically have 2 or 3 of them in their toolbox at all times. Not a huge deal, warranty it out, whatever. I haven't had that issue. I've had the same soldering iron from Milwaukee for like the last 6-7 years. It's the first generation of that tool. Absolutely love it, game changer. I love that I can stand it up on the base, not have to worry about a cord or burning myself with this thing. Next one on my list, and this is really kind of a shame, and that's going to be standard tools. Now, I just had a 58 Del Rey in the shop yesterday, so of course, you know, there's still instances where I use a standard set of wrenches, standard set of sockets, but most of the time, you guys, I'm not using these things. It's 2025. Everyone basically pretty much has went over to metric hardware. You do this long enough, you can look at a bolt and see what metric size, you know, eyeball it, see what size you need. I don't have that same skill with standards. I know some of the crossovers, whatever, but the sad thing to me in this is when I got my snap-on starter kit, this is a snap-on wrench, I believe this is a 1-inch, I got a whole bunch of standard stuff. Everything that I got metric, I also got standard. That's how the kit came. So I have some of these, you know, that I've had for the last 12 years almost, 11 years, and I've never used them because I just don't do anything that requires, you know, standard wrenches, standard sockets. So a lot of these just collect dust in my toolbox. I could probably sell them and put that money somewhere else into the shop, but Snap-on, I like, you know, once in a while they come in handy. Don't really use standard stuff that often. So this really honestly just takes up space inside the toolbox. So this guy, and granted mine is beat up, it's not in great shape. This is a Milwaukee, like, Nipex channel lock of sorts. You can see the handles falling off of mine, and I do not like this jaw design. I don't think, you know, this was intended for auto technicians. I think this is more, you know, plumbing, HVAC, that kind of thing. That's my assumption based on how these jaws are built, but I've never found a really good use for this, and the grips didn't hold up, they're sliding off, so I've been in situations where I'm trying to crank on something with this, and it sends my hand to the moon because all of a sudden this guy falls off on the bottom. Not a big deal. I can't remember where I picked this up. It was cheap, and I was like, maybe I'll use that, and I literally almost never use it. It just sits in the drawer, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to throw it away, but it's like, I don't ever use this thing. Next tool on the list is going to be these mini little tight reach clamps. Now, I don't hate having this around, and it's kind of one of those things where when you need it, it comes in handy, and it's small, so it doesn't take up a ton of room in the toolbox. This was totally my fault. I just thought this was kind of cool. Came with like 3 sizes. So you have like this mini little jaw right here, and then you just adjust it with this thumb wheel on the bottom. And I have used them. I've had instances where I'm trying to like hold a nut in the inside of a door panel, and they've been a lifesaver, so I'll keep them around. This one isn't really like the other tools where it's like, I don't even like having this in my box anymore. It's just, you know, when you need it, and when you don't, 90% of the time, it sits in the drawer and collects dust. Kind of a niche one-off thing, and yeah, it just doesn't get used a whole lot. Next one on my list is going to be from Craftsman. This is this super old school ratcheting type wrench. They got plastic in the middle, they cut up your hands, there's no leverage here, they're offset a little bit. I don't honestly know what a specific use for this would be. I hate the switching mechanism on the side. I got these in high school when Kmart's were closing, and that I realized kind of dates me, but when Kmart's were closing, these Craftsmans were on sale for like $6 for the set, and they're fat, they're cumbersome, they don't have a real fine tooth count. You can hear that right there. I don't know why I don't throw these away, honestly. I think it's because Craftsman used to be good. It makes me sad to see that these are so useless, but I really never use these. If you have a use for these, you know, a particular instance, it reminds me of a battery wrench, you know, for terminals. I don't know, let me know, but I should just get rid of these things. Last 2 on my list, you guys, I'm kind of going to lump together. They're both from Mac Tools. They're both a type of pliers. One's more like a vice grip. This one's more of a mini needle nose duckbill type thing. So this guy I got in a set. And I do use the tiny side cutters, I do use the tiny needle nose. They come in handy once in a while. I don't know how well this is going to focus on here, you guys, but if you can see that in there, this guy, there's absolutely no teeth to speak of. I have a Doyle version of a pliers like this. I believe it was called a duckbill pliers. That one's got serrations, it's got teeth, and I've just never found an instance where I would use something like this that doesn't even have a single serration on it. They're completely flat. I've never ever found a use for these, and they came in a set, so the other one's being useful kind of outweighs this one not being useful. Again, if you have a time where you use this thing, let me know. I'd like to hear about it, because really I don't think I've ever used this in the last like 8 years that I've had it. And then the other one is going to be more of a pinch off style vice grip. So you look right there, this is rounded, doesn't have any teeth on it. This bottom side is nice and flat, no sharp corners. The thing I don't like about this is there's actually a plastic version of these, which are much smaller, much less cumbersome, and you don't have to adjust this way. They kind of have a clamp going right here. So you clamp it down and you pull this to get the resistance that you want on said hose or whatever you're trying to hold out of the way. Most of the time being coolant hoses though. These ones are just big and cumbersome. They hardly ever get used. And then the jaw on it is really, really shallow. So unless you're dealing with a really tiny hose, and even a hose in my experience about the size of my finger, just the way this is designed kind of pushes out of here and shoots off. So I really don't like these. I got the plastic ones, which lightweight, so they kind of stay better where you put them. This thing flops around, you have to adjust it down here. I don't like it. Here, you can have it. I honestly am never going to use this thing, so I can't even hang it up with the rest of the vice grips because it won't grip anything, which is what it's supposed to do, but I don't like it. Alright, so that is what I had for you guys today. I'm going to try my best to get those bumper brackets finished up this week. We'll paint them up, do whatever we got to do. I got a whole bag of washers from the parts store so that we can kind of shim that bracket whichever way we need to make it look best on the Mazda. Then we'll get after our Weber carb swap, get the header swapped over, take you along, show you this bumper. I got, like I said, like 50% of that video done to show you like the first rendition of the Mazda. I haven't even shown you like half the parts that we have for this. We have new lenses, new headlights, all sorts of stuff that's going on that truck. So I'm excited to get the bumper brackets done so we can move on, finish that video, and kind of get you up to speed there. If you guys enjoyed today's video, drop me a like, leave a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing. Thanks. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.